My name is Stephen Mordew, lecturer in social work and an advocate for how self-care and being organised can fuel productivity both at work and at home. So far in this series, we've explored how the physical elements of our well-being, sleep, nutrition and exercise contribute to positive outcomes, helping us increase our resilience and avoid those buckaroo moments. Last time we looked at motivation, and this time we're going to pick up that theme to start with and then look at some productivity ideas. I love being organised and understand after years of being disorganised how it completely ramps up your productivity in everything that you do. Remember that what I advocate in these videos is a whole life approach, because trying to separate things into life and work to try and achieve balance between the two just doesn't work. It sets them off in competition against each other. One balanced life is what we're after. Whether we're doing something we get paid to do, doing something that needs doing that we don't get paid for, or whether we're resting and recovering. We need to do all these things with a purpose and with a plan. I've picked 3 of my favourite productivity ideas to tell you about in this video. The 2-minute rule, how to eat an elephant, or my new version of this one, how to move a 1-ton rock, and how to eat your frogs. There are so many other things I could have told you. I could have told you that multitasking doesn't work, but that single tasking, doing one thing at a time, dedicating your whole attention to something without being distracted works much more effectively. I could have told you that chunking tasks together that need the same mental skill set means you get them done faster. So your reading tasks go together, your writing tasks go together, your talking tasks go together. I could have told you that you will have a chronotype. We're all better at different times of day, but be warned, whatever you think, most of us are better on a morning, be that 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whenever. Most of us are better on a morning than we are on an afternoon. And working last thing on a night beyond 9 o'clock is not productive. Have a watch of the sleep video to find out more about that. And there's more things I could tell you about, and all of these are covered in the book. Shameless plug. There's a parable of sorts about a donkey. The donkey in this tale is stuck. He's both ravaged by thirst and famished by hunger, and he's equidistant between the water trough and the hay bale. He's caught up in indecision. The donkey becomes stuck and doesn't know whether to satiate his hunger or quench his thirst. And as a consequence, he dies. Sad for the donkey. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Overcoming procrastination is one of the skills you need to learn to be productive. Making a start the hardest part. I found this online and I'm desperately trying to track down where it comes from so I can credit it. But it goes like this. Do the work. Every day you have to do something you don't want to do. Every day. Challenge yourself to be uncomfortable. Push past the apathy and laziness and fear. Otherwise, the next day you're going to have 2 things you don't want to do. Then 3, then 4, then 5. And pretty soon you can't even contemplate going back to the first thing. And then all you can do is beat yourself up for the mess you've created. And now you've got a mental barrier, as well as those physical barriers and time barriers that you have to contend with. So let's look at some ways that we can maybe overcome this. Firstly, the 2-minute rule. In terms of productivity, I live by the ideas in David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. Just buy a copy and just read it. It's a font of great amounts of knowledge about how to be productive. And one of the things he talks about, which for me is by far the most effective and simple to implement, is the 2-minute rule. Simply put, if it's going to take you less than 2 minutes to do it, Just do it. Don't even think about it. Just get on with it. This little productivity hack gets so much done in my world. Find it most effective for dealing with that scourge of the office environment, the email inbox. As Alan points out, your inbox is a collecting tool, not a storage tool. So your email box should be empty. How many of us can say that? The problem is once they disappear off the bottom of the screen, you may as well delete them, as they risk being forgotten about, and probably are. The 2-minute rule is so effective at getting through the morning grind of getting into empty, as Alan puts it. My inbox is routinely empty, or nearly empty at least, as a consequence of this. It's amazing how many things only take a small amount of time, but how easily they mount up and then they become onerous. And once those emails disappear off the bottom of the page, they've gone. And then they eat away at you, at your psychological capacity, wondering what's further down the inbox list. What have I missed? And worst of all, in terms of your professional integrity, somebody emailing you to go, "Oi, respond to my email, please." It's not good. The beauty of emptying your inbox daily and doing something with the things you find there, Alan suggests a range of things. Get it into your diary, get it into some sort of system so you know when to do it and what it is you need to do. Delete it. It's really powerful. If it's nothing to do with you, if you're not interested in it, get rid of it. Don't leave it hanging about so you wonder what it is. Delegate it. Delegation is not just the kind of down a command chain kind of thing. Sometimes delegation, I like to think of it as, I can't do something with this email until I know something from somebody else. So you kind of email that on to get some further information from somebody, or you email your manager to ask whether you can do something or whatever it is. Or apply the 2-minute rule and just do it. The 2-minute rule works in as well in other areas. At home, the dishwasher gets dealt with while I'm making a cup of tea, because I think, well, I've got 2 minutes while I wait for the kettle to boil. I don't just idly drift away somewhere, although sometimes that's good. Or the bin gets emptied. I think we're all the same with our kitchen bin. It gets full, so we wedge it all down, then it gets full again, and we wedge it all down until eventually it's spilling out everywhere. Just do it. It takes 2 minutes to empty it and put a new bag in there. On it goes. Many things that you can get done in just 2 minutes. You'll surprise yourself at how many tasks you can tick off your list just by applying the 2-minute rule. When I talk about breaking large tasks down into smaller tasks, I usually use the analogy, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. You couldn't possibly eat a whole elephant all in one go. Trying to undertake a large task without breaking it down into smaller tasks has the potential to fuel procrastination. When do you start? What do you start with? Have you got all the things that you need in order to start? If you can't answer those questions, then you're more likely to procrastinate and you're more likely to put it off till later. And often, later becomes just before it's due. My new analogy for this is based on a Chinese proverb. The man who moved the mountain was the one who began carrying away small stones. This resonates with me so much. I'm often put off getting started with big tasks because they just seem, well, too big. What reminded me of the Chinese proverb was Nassim Taleb writing in his great book Anti-Fragile about the analogy of asking someone to move either a 1-ton rock or 1 ton of pebbles. One person alone cannot move a 1-ton rock, but can move a ton of pebbles over time by chipping away at the task. This is how we need to approach mammoth things that confront us. Procrastination is fueled by feeling things are too big for us to achieve. The power of small wins, a psychological concept, relies on us breaking big tasks down into smaller, constituent parts. I was recently saying to someone that success is sometimes about using our brain chemistry to our advantage and tricking ourselves into better ways of thinking or doing. So what we know is that every time we tick something off our to-do list, we get a little dopamine hit that drives us on to the next step. If completion of the task is only ever ticked off when the whole task is complete, we only get that one hit. If we break the task down into lots of small tasks, we get lots of hits. Win! We then know what to start with, and in our diaries we can map out all of the time we need to get to the end result because we have a much better idea of what the task will entail. What's even better when it comes to moving a ton of pebbles is having the right tools for the job. Shifting that ton of pebbles is going to be much easier if you have a shovel and a wheelbarrow. If all you have is your hands, you'll get it done, but it'll be painful and slow. Before you start any task, ask yourself, do I have the right tools for the task? Tools can be many things, simple things like pen and paper, information things like names and phone numbers, or bigger things like the right software, the right equipment. With the right stuff around us, things get done. The crucial technique for this is planning. Plan every day. Think, what am I doing tomorrow? And do I have what I need? Prepare what you need, or check you have it in the right place and it's accessible. Plan big on your last working day before a break on a Friday, or probably for most of us before the weekend. Plan all of next week. Get your ducks in a row. Check before you leave. You've got everything you need to do your job next week. If you haven't, find it, buy it, email someone to find out more about it or to get hold of it. If there's no chance of getting it for next week, you've probably left it too late and didn't plan well enough earlier. But can you move the task? If you can't, how will you get around the lack of the right thing? Planning is everything. Planning brings the future into the present so you can do something about it. That's an Alan Lakin quote. I have a little planning session daily, usually just checking stuff is where it should be, familiarising myself with what's going on in the day. I then have a big plan every week and a massive plan every 3 months, usually going up to about 6 months ahead to see what I need, including, crucially, how much time I need to do it. I also spend some time, usually in the summer, planning the big things for the coming year. And of course, I have a 10-year plan. Who doesn't? You don't get into the car and just drive. You figure out where you're going and how you will get there. And if it's a long journey, is it long enough to need travelling suites? If you don't know where you're going, how do you know how to get there? Or what your purpose for going there is? You may well find you end up at the wrong place or are disappointed when you get there and it's not what you hoped for. Plan and don't be disappointed. The final idea is eat that frog. It's the worst thing you can think of to do. Well, it might be to eat a live frog. And this old adage attributed to Mark Twain goes, if the worst thing you had to do at the start of the day was eat a live frog, once you'd done it, there'd not be much else in your day that would be worse. So eat that frog. Do the worst thing first. What things are in your email or in your diary that you're going to get stuck on, that are going to suck your psychological capital from you all day long while they remain undone? Those things, yeah, do them first. Get them out of the way. Free your mind to do the other work from the things that are troubling you. Then get to do everything else. Plan it. Make sure you know where you're going. Write it down. Writing things down means they're more likely to happen. Weird, but true. And then do it.